Okay, I have yet another smartwatch to review. It's kind of in between the ZD09 I reviewed previously and the A97. It is the Pro SM004. It costs £30.99. The ZD09, which is similar but a step down, costs about £18. It depends what seller you get it from. You could possibly get it for about £11. The A9S is about £46, so this is a little bit cheaper, but it doesn't have some of the functions of that one, but it is definitely better than the ZD09. In fact, it's got a much nicer screen, I think, personally. It uses an MTK 6260A, the same as the Z09, and a lot at under the £40 price range seem to use that processor. Its screen is typical for this price range of 1.54 inch touchscreen with 240 by 240 pixel resolution, and at this price range that is very typical sort of resolution, although this has a slightly curved looking screen unlike the others, which actually looks quite nice, and that is all the rage these days. It uses Bluetooth 3.0, which is again very typical at this price range. You get slightly more expensive watches, they do tend to use 4.0, but at this price range of under 50 they do tend to be 3.0. It does have a bigger battery than a lot have, especially at this price range. A lot I've seen are about 320 or 350 milliamp an hour. This is 450, which is quite good. It has a standby time of 1 to 2 days. And in a minute I will actually tell you what's in the box, and I will show you this closer up so you can get a better look, and I'll also show it turned on and some of the features it has. Unlike some of the more expensive ones, oddly enough, it does have a SIM card, so you can use this as a standalone phone. You don't have to have your phone with you, you don't have to have it Bluetooth paired with your phone. You can just take this without your phone with a SIM card in and make phone calls, etc. It does have 8 GB of storage built in, but there is no micro SD slot like some others. So that's what I've noticed about watches. You tend to get ones with no storage really built in and a card slot, and others which have no card slot but about 8 gigs built in. This is one with no card slot for micro SD, but it does have 8 gigs, which should be plenty for general use. It does have a pedometer, which is better than the ZD09, but not as good as some of the more expensive ones such as A9S, but it definitely is more accurate than the ZD09. It charges like the ZD09 via mini USB. It doesn't use magnetic clip-on charging like some of the more expensive ones. It uses the mini USB like others in this price range. It weighs 50 grams and its dimensions are 58.5 by 39.5 by 12.5 millimeters. It actually has a sapphire scratch and wear resistant screen, which is really good because a lot may have that, but they don't seem to brag that sort of thing up. So it's good to know that it is a scratch resistant screen. That is a really, really good selling point, I think, personally. Like I say, the strength of this one is its screen. It might not have all the features of the slightly more expensive ones such as the A9S, but it does have a really good screen. So it really depends what you want from your smartwatch. Are you looking for saving as much money as possible but having a really good screen and not necessarily all the functions? Or do you want to pay a bit more and get as many features as possible but have a screen that actually is equal or maybe not even quite as good? I really like this screen. Now its pairing is not as good as the ones in say the £60 price range and more, because these cheaper ones often either only pair with Android or they pair with Android and iOS, but with very limited functionality on the iOS side. So if you have an iPhone, you might want to listen to this next bit. You can use this on iPhone as a Bluetooth device, so you can actually make calls from it and you can play Bluetooth music. So you can play music from your iPhone to the speakers on this device, but you won't get push notifications, which I think is a real pity. So if you get a Facebook message, it's not going to give you a notification on the screen on your smartwatch, which is a real pity because I think that is a very useful feature that a lot of people want. You're not also going to be able to use things like remote camera, those functions. It's just really a dialer and a Bluetooth music player when you're using it on iOS. It has very limited functionality. You also can't sync your pedometer stats either, but you can do all those things on Android. So if you have an Android phone, if you're an Android user, don't worry about it. You can do pretty much everything you want, sync and pair, all sorts. But if you're an iOS user, you might really want to think of splashing out a little bit more money on a watch such as the Fantime K8 or the Banorus BS19 that I reviewed previously. They are double the price. They are £60 or £70 depending upon which one you get. But if you're an iOS user and you really want those functions such as push notifications, then that is maybe something to consider. But certainly if you're an Android user or you don't care about those pairing options, because you might just be using this as a standalone watch with a SIM card in, which would be perfectly fine, in which case ignore what I just said. But if you do want to have all those pairing features and you're an iPhone user, maybe consider a more expensive watch. That isn't a huge knock against this watch because they are mostly like that in this price range. You do have to pay more for ones that normally use Funduware software or app, which is really good. So that is something to consider if you want a pair with iOS. Now in the box you simply get the watch itself, and it is a nice looking watch and has a wonderful screen. And it has the mini USB charging cable and a manual, and that's about it. It comes in this nice brown box. It's nothing to write home about, but it's a nice box. It's fairly decent quality. It's not as fancy as some of the more expensive watches, but for this price range, I think it's a okay box. Of course, that isn't really a huge deal. I just want to mention everything. Just before I start, I did actually forget to mention the specs. It does have a basic little camera on the top there. Very similar to the ZD09. So maybe if you're looking at this watch, also watch my review for the ZD9 and compare the two to make up your mind. But this is definitely a better watch than the ZD09. It is a little bit more pricey, but like I said, depends upon your budget and what you're looking for. So definitely this is a better watch though. And the SIM card just slots into the side there with a little rubber flap. The button to turn it on is on the right side. You just press the button on the right side, hold it in, and it will take a second to turn on. Then the screen, as you can just see, will turn off after a while to save battery. You can adjust that setting for how long it turns off. So if it turns off too quick, you can adjust that. You have this nice little butterfly animation for a clock face. That is one of them. There's this one here. There's that one there as well, which also has a shortcut for the dialer and things like that. You can also scroll down to get your notifications there as well. Now, okay, so if you tap the screen just once when you're on the clock face, it's how you change it. So it's on butterfly, hit once, you have this one. Then you have this actual Roman numeral one. And a lot of people like Roman numeral clock faces, I do, and for some reason a lot of smartwatches don't have a Roman numeral clock face, such as even some of the more expensive ones. So it's really good it has one of those. So there's that one, and that one. That is your only choice, only three. Pity there isn't more, but a lot at this price range only have three, and even some of the more expensive ones only have five. I actually like this one the best. The one with the animated little butterfly. You have a calendar there, your camera, which is this one here, your calculator, and themes. Now themes are very basic. Themes are, excuse the screen going off, it's like I say, a power saving feature many smartwatches have, well all smartwatches have. The themes are just basically different wallpapers to have in the background behind those icons. You have a voice memo recorder there, your phone calls, your settings, and Bluetooth music. Okay, then settings, there are lots of settings here. You have absolutely lots and tons of settings, including phone setup, connectivity, notification settings, call settings, security settings, restore your default settings. And if we go to phone setup, we can do things like date and time, language, all those sort of things, widget order, display. Now under display, Under display, you enter standby setup, then that is where you set your time for how long it takes before the screen goes off, such as 15 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, or 5 minutes. Some only have like 15, 30 and 60 seconds. This does have a 5-minute option, but it just depends how much you're going to use the other functions on this. If you are going to use functions such as Bluetooth, things like that might run it down a bit quicker, you might want to put that as a lower setting. But if you find the battery's lasting a long time the way you're using it, you might want to put it on a higher setting. But I normally find that for general use, basically pretty much using this just as a watch, then 15 seconds is enough. Brightness here, you can adjust the screen brightness, but I find 3 is just right. Let's just go back. But basically there are lots of settings. Then you have things for Bluetooth here. Then you have your call log, file manager, anti-loss, which is for if you need to find your phone. This is a log of missed calls, dialed calls, received calls, that type of thing. Then you have a search function, remote camera, SMSs from the right button there. You can write or send, receive. Of course, you will need your SIM card in. Then a web browser functionality there, but you need a SIM card in. Video playback here. No files there for video playback. That there is your stationary reminder, or what your sedentary, or however you say it, reminder, which basically sets a reminder, a little alarm that goes off every, say, 60 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever you set it to remind you to get up and move so you don't sit down too much. Alarm clock functionality there as well. Then that top one there is your camera to record video instead of a still image. Then you have a option for sleep monitoring. There you go, you can start it, it will say how long you slept and if you thinks you had a good sleep or bad sleep. This is a QR code to get your software on your Android phone, etc., for all the pairing, that sort of thing. Then we have things like a Facebook thing, because you're going to need your SIM card in. You got this here, which is your pedometer. We can start that and it says how many steps you had, and then we can scroll across. It tries to give you things like your speed, you think you might have walked at, your time, your fat, your mileage, things like that, which is quite good because I don't believe the ZD09 had that. But it's not as precise and it isn't as accurate as some of the more expensive ones where you can dial in your height and weight and things like that to get even more precise calculations. But it is definitely better than the ZD09. Some of these functions do require your Bluetooth notifier to be installed on your Android device. Then you have your dialer there on its own. Yeah, so it's a really nice watch, especially at that sort of price range. Now, if you've been looking at the ZD09, this is more expensive, but it definitely is a step up, especially the screen. It has a better pedometer, and the screen is especially the area which you really will notice straight away. It's a much clearer, sharper screen. Also, the ZD09, if you move your wrist a bit, it will kind of whiten over the screen like old ATM machines used to. Whereas this, if you have it at a bit of a different angle, the screen stays looking relatively decent, really quite good actually. So this is definitely more of an IPS looking screen. I don't think this is advertised as an IPS screen, but it does work much better like an IPS screen. If you have your wrist at a bit of a different angle, tilted away a bit, it still looks quite good. Whereas the ZD09 looked very white and faded if you didn't have it perfectly straight on. This is definitely such a much better screen, and it has a bit of a curved appearance. Looks a lot sharper, the shell, the screen, everything in general. It looks a lot more stylish. Of course, the wristbands can't be replaced, but neither can they on quite a lot of more expensive smartwatches, such as the A9S or the K8 or the BS19. Yeah, so don't let that sort of discourage you. A lot of more expensive ones, you can't remove the wristband. The other thing is, if you pay a little bit more for some, you can get one with heart rate sensors. This does not have a heart rate sensor, so it really depends what you want. If you want a smartwatch, it doesn't cost too much, it's under £40, but does a really nice job and has a SIM card slot so you can make calls directly from it without pairing it, and has a nice, good, decent quality screen. Really nice screen actually, I'm quite impressed by the screen. Then this is one definitely to consider. I would definitely say if you want to spend under £40 but want something better than the ZD09, then definitely look at this one. At £30, it's definitely the best under £40. But the ZD09 is much cheaper, so if you want one to get one that's under £20, look at the ZD09. If you want one under £40, look at this one, okay? They are actually quite similar, but this is definitely a huge improvement over the ZD09. Like I say, I'm really highly impressed by that screen. Absolutely wonderful screen, really good. Hopefully I've shown this to you as well as I can, because I'm never quite sure how these things are going to show up on camera, because I'm using a really small little I think it's about 2.5 inch screen here, and sometimes things look like they're not detailed, or you can't see some of the details like the SIM card slot, but when I edit it on the computer I can. So hopefully when I showed you around the edges of it, you could see where the buttons were, where the SIM card slot is. There's no micro SD card slot, but there is a SIM card slot, and I would knock this quite badly for not having a micro SIM card if it didn't have a decent amount of storage, but it does have 8 gigs built in, so I think that's going to be fine. Plus you can plug it into a computer, use it as mass storage, and transfer some of your files over to free up space onto your computer when you need to. So it's very good. So it's a very, very good watch for £30. Very nice. It's a SM004. A link will be in the description to its product page. Please like, comment and subscribe, and if you could do me a favour, and if you're watching this on Amazon as a review on Amazon, please hit the useful or helpful button. That will help me out a lot. Thanks for watching.